G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. For this video I'm in a place called Xiengkhouang Province in northern Laos, and what we're going to be looking at in this video is a very unique area which has got some megalithic sites called the Plain of Jars. To kick things off, I've come to what's called the Quarry, where they actually quarried out the stone jars before transporting them to the various sites around the area. It's going to be a bit of a hike because it's somewhere way the heck up there, so I've got here fairly early in the morning to beat the heat, and we'll head on up and see what we end up with. Okay, this is actually quite good. They've put in a looks like a stairway all the way up to the top to the site, so that makes access a little bit easier. Okay, according to the information placards I've seen on the way up here, this is ideal terrain because there's a lot of sandstone boulders that they can actually use and then just shape them into jars. Okay, this is a good example of a stone that was selected to be shaped into a jar. Obviously it got started but didn't get finished. Okay, here's another example of a jar that was started but not finished. Alright, we've got some directional signage here, which is basically a split in the track. 150 metres to the right is apparently a natural cave, and then there's to the left is what's called a secret tunnel. It was something that was built by the communist forces, or the Pathet Lao, during the war years. It was basically used as a shelter or a hideout. Anyway, I'll go and check out the cave. Seems it's the shorter of the two. Okay, according to this placard, we are 1400 metres above sea level, and if I just pan over to the surrounding terrain, it certainly looks like it, that's for sure. Okay, here we are. I'm right up at the top of the peak, 1400 metres above sea level in Xiengkhouang Province, and it's a pretty spectacular view, that's for sure. Okay, here we are at the natural cave. It actually looks pretty small, so not really expecting much, but I'll go on and have a quick look around. Alright, I'm in the natural cave, just working my way through. It's not really much of a cave, it's just a short little tunnel that comes out on the other side of the mountain, or the peak. Just emerging from the small cave now, and it's a pretty good view from up here. Alright, here we are at the secret tunnel, and the entrance apparently is just over there. Alright, this is the entrance to one of the secret tunnels that was used by the Pathet Lao. Alright, moving into the secret tunnel. This was used by the Pathet Lao forces during their fight with the Republican Army and the American forces back in the 60s and 70s. Not really sure how far it goes, but I've seen info on the web that it runs for around about 100 metres. It's basically a shelter and a hideout from the bombing. Okay, these large areas in the tunnel are probably used for sleeping or living quarters. Alright, pushing on into the secret tunnel. I'm in about, I guess about 30 metres or so. Alright, looks like there's a barricade up ahead here. It's been blocked off. And there's some bats in here. Decided to call this place their home. Continuing on. Not really sure how far this goes. Thankfully there's no branching side passages to get lost in. Okay, I can see daylight ahead, so obviously this tunnel has got an entry and exit point. Alright, here we are at the exit point. It's probably about a 100 metre walk all the way through. And looks as though there's a stairway here which goes up probably to another viewpoint. Alright, this is the view on the exit side of the secret tunnel. We're actually, well, on the other side of the mountain, I guess. It's quite a spectacular view out there over Xiengkhouang Province. Okay, so that's pretty much about it for the Pew Cave quarry site and the secret tunnel. It's a bit of a hike to get up to the top here, but it's well worth it. It's a beautiful part of the world. Amazing scenery. And I'm going to head back down now. Go and grab a coffee somewhere, and then this afternoon I'll head over to Plain of Jars site number 1. Okay, see you on the next section of the video. And welcome back to the video. After a coffee and bit of lunch, I'm now at the Plain of Jars site 1, and just about to head off up that trail there and go and have a look at it. Okay, there's a bit of a crowd here, so afternoons are obviously the time when it gets busy. This is the Jars site. According to Wikipedia, these are basically megalithic sites. These jars, they're made by some kind of Stone Age culture, and they're about 2,500 years old. These jars were well made or constructed up at that site I was at this morning, and then they're transported down to the various sites around Xiengkhoung. From here to that site I was at this morning, it's around about 10 kilometres. Apparently some of these bigger jars, like this one we're looking at now, they weigh up to 6 tonnes. So how on earth they got them here from that quarry where I was at this morning is anyone's guess. And what they were actually used for, well, there's no real let's say answer about that. There's a lot of conjecture, but quite possibly used for burial rites or processes. Anyway, if you are interested in coming to this place, it's probably a good idea if you're going to do a visit, come in the morning to beat the crowds. Alright, there's a larger grouping of them down the hill there, so I'll head on down there and we'll check it out. Alright, there's a number of these bomb craters all around the site. This location was bombed extensively during the 60s and 70s by the US Air Force. Alright, it's a bit of an overview of the JARS Site 1. Apparently this particular spot's got around about 300 jars. It's quite impressive, that's for sure. I've got a photography group here doing with some kind of advertising shots. Girls with a local like Hmong dress on. Okay, scattered in amongst the jars there's also these things which look like lids. Whether they're lids or not still remains to be seen, but they kind of look like it. Okay, I'm continuing my walk around the plain of JARS Site 1. I'm going to have a look at this cave over there. That was used as a bomb shelter during the war years, and for good reason, because right in front of it here is a bomb crater. And this is another bomb crater which is even closer to the entrance of the cave there. Okay, this information plaque pretty much tells the story of this cave. It was used during the Second Indochina War, which basically occurred in the 1960s and 1970s, and was used as a bomb shelter. For some reason the locals like to pile these rocks up into little stupas, I guess they are, little pyramids. Some kind of ancestor worship. Alright, as you can see, this cave's not very deep. It's just provided shelter from the bombing raids. There's actually a hole in the ceiling which could have been used as a chimney if people were lighting fires in here. Alright, I'm heading up to the highest point of the JARS 1 site. There's actually a viewpoint up there, and there's some jars along the way. This is actually a pretty good example of how strong these things are. There's a bomb crater right behind that one that's broken, and okay, a piece has come off, but it's still pretty much intact. Alright, I'm at the peak of JARS 1 site. It's looking back down onto the area where there's 300 jars, and as you can see, it's a pretty spectacular view from up the top. G'day guys, welcome back to the video. I'm on my second day in Xiengkhouang Province in Laos, and for this section of the video I'm going to check out a cave site which has got a bit of a tragic past. It had a lot of deaths back in the 1960s. A US Air Force missile went into the cave and killed about 380 people or something like that, so it's actually a bit of a memorial site as well. Anyway, we'll head up that trail and see what we get. Okay, there's some information placards here just before the start of the walk up to the cave, which basically gives a historical look at the area from the 1830s up to the end of basically the Vietnam War. And as with all caves in this area, there's another stairway to climb to get up to the entrance. And it's quite a scenic spot here. Thankfully the entrance isn't too far away, it's just at the top of the stairway here. It's probably another 50 metres at the most. And okay, here we are at the entrance to Pew Cave, which is a memorial to a tragedy that occurred here, I think it was 1968. These little rock piles in the cave entrance are something that's common in this part of the world. They're a style of remembrance to their ancestors or forebears. It's kind of a merit making. Okay, I'm moving further inside Pew Cave. All these little rock piles here, or stupas, in memory of the 380 people that died in here. Alright, moving further inside Pew Cave. From what I can see, it doesn't actually go back very far. This is the view looking back out to the entrance, and just a massive these little rock piles all the way there. Well, that's pretty much about it for the tour of Pew Cave. For anybody that wants to come up here, keep in mind it's quite a drive. If you rent a motorbike, it's around about 57 kilometres from Xiengkhouang Township, or around about an hour and a half travelling time, because it's quite a mountainous road to get here. Anyway, I'll wrap things up for this part of the video and see you on the next section. G'day guys, welcome back to the video. For this section of it, I'm taking a look at another couple of jars sites around Xiengkhouang Province. This is actually day 3 of my tour through here, and I'm going to start off by having a look at what's called jars site number 3. Alright, I'm starting my walk up to the jars site number 3. I was here a few years ago, and there's a bit of a trail to get up to the site. It's up on the sides of those hills you can see further up ahead. One of the things that I remember is that I was with a guide, and he made a point of telling me to stay on the trail because it had been mine cleared. So that's something to keep in mind if you ever come up this way or come to see this jars site 3. This time of the year in Xiengkhouang, it's already the dry season. As you can see, the rice has well and truly been harvested, and terrain's looking pretty dry. Yeah, this is quite a neat little trail that winds its way through rice fields and a bit of a village landscape, I guess. And here we are at jars site 3. It's quite a picturesque spot. It's around about a 500 metre walk from the car park area, and there's a little bit of an uphill climb to get here, but it's actually not too bad. Okay, continuing on, this is jars site 3. It's quite good here, there's plenty of shade, and everything's pretty much condensed into one little area. It's fenced off. Quite a scenic spot, and you can get an idea of how big these jars are with the couple of guys walking ahead there. And the good thing about this site is that it's a bit further out of town than Jar's Site 1, so it tends to get less visitors and obviously less crowded. But if it's worth the effort of getting out here, it's I believe it's something like 26 kilometres from Phonsavan. Okay, that's the end of the tour through Jar's Site number 3. Heading back to the car park now, and I'll be moving on to Jar's Site number 2. Alright, after a bit of a bumpy ride, I'm now at Jar's Site number 2, and just a short hike up through that wooded area there to the top of the peak. Okay, after a little bit of a uphill hike, I've made it to Jar's Site number 2. It's quite nice here, plenty of shade. Alright, I'm at Jar's Site number 2, and it looks as though these jars are actually bigger in size than the ones at Site number 3. Alright, as you can see, these jars are pretty big. Online information actually says that some of them weigh up to 6 tons. Okay, this is another site that copped a bit of a bombing during the war years. This here is a massive bomb crater right in front of where the jars are. Okay, here I am at the second area of Jar's Site number 2, and it's a very scenic spot. We're on top of a peak and looking out over the landscape there. So probably out of the 3 sites, this is probably the most picturesque. According to online information sources, these jars have been are estimated at 2,500 years old, and were made by perhaps the original inhabitants of Laos, some kind of Stone Age culture. Well, that pretty much wraps up the tour of Xiengkhouang Province. This is my last stop for the 3 days that I've been here, and it's quite an interesting place to come. It's a bit off the beaten track, but if you're interested in a bit of history and looking at some archaeological sites, yeah, this is a good place to come. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the next adventure.